Y'all, on this wow after show, we're talking amazing tag team action, big distractions, and of course, the elimination of one of our favorite Island Dynasty members in the main event. Of course, this is the Wow Superheroes After Show on Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling show on the planet. Let's get it cracking.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hey y'all, welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling show on the planet, and welcome to the Wow Superheroes After Show. Of course, every Monday, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, host and writer for Women's Wrestling Talk, and color commentator, in which you can hear on the Belladonna Division, Battle Club Pro, and Black Girl Magic 2022, and soon to be Spartan Wrestling. But of course, I am not here alone. I am here with my tag team partner, the awesome super mom, creator of NCAT We Trust, host and writer for Women's Wrestling Talk, and just an all-around amazing person, and a girl who got her commentary on this past weekend, which was a really big wrestling weekend. It's Katrina Blake. How are you, Kat?
Hey, it's such a fantastic intro. I am well. It was a really busy weekend for me in particular because I hosted three different shows. And then there was the New Japan event, and so a girl is sleepy, but I am really happy to be here. It was some awesome wrestling, and as well as for wow, awesome wrestling. So happy to be here.
Yes, when I saw the pictures of you getting your commentary on and all of the above, I was like, look at Katrina stepping out there, trying new things, being brave in all of her wrestling endeavors. You just love to see it. And of course, shout out to all of my women out here in wrestling doing the dang thing. And I feel like that was just a common theme throughout this entire weekend with New Japan Resurgence, which is why our co-host Emily May is not going to be here because she was working and mediating the press conference for New Japan America Resurgence, New Japan Strong Resurgence, and doing interviews backstage and all that. So big ups to her for all of the work that she does with New Japan Strong and everywhere else. So she is traveling home, so she won't be able to join us tonight, but we definitely send her congratulations and well wishes as one of our Women's Wrestling Talk sisters moving forward and of course doing the dang thing. But of course, if you, in the midst of everything that went on this weekend in wrestling, I hope that you guys did and were able to tune in to Wow Superheroes. This episode was pretty good. So if you did tune in, if you have anything to say about this episode as we continue with the conversation, go off in the comments, chime in the comments and in the chat and light up our comments, and who knows, your comments might pop up on the screen and we might, and it might contribute to the conversation that we're going to have about this episode. But before we get fully into it, Katrina, how did you feel about this episode of Wow and our Women of Wrestling?
Pretty solid. I like that we did have quite a few. Like it was a lot of tag team work, mostly in this. It was a mix of like both, tag team but I thought it was good stuff. I thought we got to see a little bit more pieces of the stories that was happening, and so I thought it was pretty solid.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid episode. It was awkward on my end because here again we were preempted by soccer down here in Birmingham. But the parts that I did catch, and then I went back and did watch the rest of the parts that I missed at the very beginning. It was just like everything I did catch was still very interesting and very colorful, to say the least. So I am excited for us to get into it. So, of course, they did advertise what the main event is going to be, but we will get to that later. So, the first match was a tag team match against with Las Bandidas, along with Sophia Lopez, the greatest attorney in the world, versus the Tonga Twins, who of course is our favorite, and we also want to give them a lot of love. Katrina actually gave them a whole lot of love in an article that she wrote for Women's Wrestling Talk's website, www.talkpod.com, where we're celebrating, of course, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And she celebrated the Tonga Twins for being that form of representation on WoW. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out already, please go and read it. It was a stunning read, and I'm so happy that she wrote it. Because, of course, these girls have been our favorites since this iteration of WoW has started. So, of course, without, outside of them, probably wanting to go for the tag titles again, which is something that they haven't fully addressed at any point at this juncture, but I'm more than sure they would go for them. They went ahead and had this tag team match against Sylvia Sanchez and Vivian Rivera. This match was really good. I enjoyed it. The Tonga excuse me, the Tonga twins really were giving it to Sylvia Sanchez and fighting her throughout the entire match. Except there was one point where she did kind of get disrespectful on one of the twins. She was mushing them in their face and basically trying to fight them off, but it was kind of hard for Las Bandidas to fight against the power of the Tonga twins, and of course that twin energy and telepathy that they have with each other. For every moment in which they were trying to take them down in the form of Las Bandidas, there was always a power move that the Tonga twins would always do. And of course, one of them actually hit a really amazing hip attack that I'm more than sure would make Rikishi proud. And they were doing all kinds of Samoan drops and all of the above. But, that didn't stop Las Bandidas from trying, to isolate one of the Tonga twins in the corner. And as you can see with Sylvia pinning one of the twins with her foot and kicking her down or whatnot. And Vivian Rivera had a lot of her quickness on display throughout the match. And of course they had Sophia Lopez trying to cheat for them by interfering a little bit, by grabbing their hair a little bit. But in this impressive, feat, in this picture, this was where the Tonga twins actually hit a backbreaker onto Sylvia. And in the end, they wound up winning with, I believe, their Samoan drop. So they won the match, and it was really cool to see them win that match, of course, after going back and watching it. So I believe this gives them a whole lot of more momentum if they do want to challenge the Carlson twins. So the Tonga twins wound up with the win here. So Katrina, how did you feel about this tag team bout?
That was fantastic work. Like as you said, we do love the Tonga twins. Always super dominant, always on point, always like kind of in unison when they're wrestling. And this is not against, Sophia's girls, because clearly they work well together as well. But I feel like in this regard, it's the Tonga twins are the Tonga twins. I feel like, we've been saying this since the beginning that, they should have been the champions. And again, this is no shade to the Carlson twins and all, but like they should have won this. I felt like there was a lot of like shenanigans that happened when we got the new title winners. I felt like they should have had this. This was theirs. They had it in the bag, if you will. And so to kind of see them like, you see them in the match and they're still the exact same, still dominant, still doing what needs to be done. It tells you that they are still one of the most dominant teams, if not the most dominant team in WoW. I thought it was a fantastic match, a fantastic open. And I do think that if anything, if they're trying to get back to being the contenders for the titles, this is exactly the way to do it. And so now, would it be easy considering that we know about the Fab Four and how they usually like to maneuver and do things away so they kind of avoid these type of situations? Possibly, but I feel like if we get that again, I don't think they're gonna come out without those titles. I feel like if we get that again, they're winning it. So this was a fantastic match, and again, this is a newer team, with this new team up with the other two, but that's fine because I think they do well as well. I think they still wrestle really well, considering very well together. But the Tonga twins are the Tonga twins for a reason, and so fantastic win.
Yeah, it was a fantastic win. Like it was really impressive. I just love how powerful the Tonga twins are. And it's really interesting, since Las Bandidas had gotten together, they were a bit dominant, but now I believe they've lost two or 3 matches now. I believe maybe just 2 matches since they've gotten together. So maybe at some point they will turn it around, but it's still very awkward for me to see Vivian Rivera sort of be a heel. Even though we did see like the first iteration of her heel character when we were at LA Comic Con, it's just really hard for me to see her that way because she's just so sweet. And I'm just like, oh my God, like all this sweetness, I believe, is just buried, beneath that hard exterior that she's got now that she's hooked up with Sophia. And it's just like, Vivian, stop it. I want to cheer for you. You're amazing. Like, I want to cheer for you, but it's, that's just the leaf that she's on right now. So I guess we just have to deal with it. But I will say this wouldn't be the last time we would see Sophia Lopez, because of course in one of the segments that they did show, they gave a little bit of a recap as to how the mother truckers Big Rig Betty and Holly Swag got into jail after trying to retrieve their big rig from the clutches of Samantha Smart and whoever she hired in order to, take the truck. So they found the big rig. Let me not call it a truck though, because they said, it's not just a truck, it's a big rig. So let me chill. They found the big rig and of course kicked the guy in the balls because he said, look, prove to us that you're, a wrestler. And she proved it. But of course he snitched and now they're in jail. So Big Rig Betty said, look, I know somebody that we can call. And so when they got their one phone call in jail, they called Sophia Lopez and she was just like, okay, they were, begging her to help them get out of jail, get them out on bail, whatever it is that you have to do to get somebody out of jail, guys. I don't know. I've never been to jail. Don't plan on going. But either way, Sophia seemed really enthusiastic about helping them, but she also did give something a bit ominous. She told the mother truckers that if she did get them out of jail, that they would owe her. And that really made me feel a bit uneasy. I was just like, is it
Yeah.
money? Like, is it, a favor? What is it going to be? Like, is it a bounty? Like, what is it? And do we think that she'll actually deliver on it is the question. It was really, really ominous. And I'm just wondering what it is she'll want from the mother truckers in order to help them get out of jail. Katrina, what do you think Sophia meant?
I mean, it could be, she's at the end of the day, she's an attorney. I feel like like a situation like that, you're supposed to be the world's greatest attorney, which means you have enough like a good mind and probably a way to finagle out of something if you really need to. And so it could really well be. I was like, is that what we're implying? I don't want to assume, but it did kind of give that vibe. But again, she's also an attorney, so if that's where we're going with this, I feel like they'll be fine because she's supposed to be the world's greatest attorney. Like like you have this title that implies you know what you're doing. I feel like if you're gonna say you're the world greatest attorney, you know what to look for, you know how to get out of the loopholes, whatever needed, you can get it done as a lawyer. And so it could, but I guess we'll see. But I definitely did like because it didn't help that it doesn't help that she's supposed to be an attorney. I'm like, oh, this is okay. If this what you mean, I don't want to assume, but this is what you mean by this. So we'll see. But I thought it was interesting. I did think it was an interesting like little tidbit there.
Like you never really know. Not, I mean, shout out to those attorneys out there, getting their law on. And I work at a law firm, so it's just kind of like interesting for me. That's my regular job. But I really don't ever have anything to do with cases or nothing like that. I just work operations, so I just help get the documents together online for people. But it's just like when it comes to attorney work and when it comes to the legal profession, you would hope that they would do things the right way. But then in some cases you can find some loopholes and then you can wiggle in there and find something to do that would help your
Yeah.
client, but then it might not be the rightest thing or the most above board thing. So I don't know. I guess we just have to wait and see what Sophia is cooking up in that brain of hers. But yes, like you said, she's the world's greatest attorney, so maybe we'll figure it out and see what is on the horizon for her. Oh, we got Black Fist on YouTube watching us. Hey, thank you so much for watching and being faithful. It's good to hear from you. So, moving forward with the rest of the show, we had a one-on-one match that, of course, I was really excited about for, of course, personal reasons, but friend of the pod, Foxxy Fierce had a singles match against BK Rhythm, who was on a little bit of a roll here on WoW. She's been, beating everybody, kind of left and right, having a little bit of an undefeated streak. And Foxxy Fierce, as great as she is, has been a little bit on the struggle bus when it comes to her tag team work. And she has been losing quite a bit. And I was definitely hoping and manifesting winning for her because we of course love her so much, and she's a black woman and we want to see her succeed and all of our black women succeed in wrestling, just like with this weekend. So I wanted more for her, and I wanted her to win. And something that they made notice of on commentary is the fact that Foxy Fierce's sister Roxy was in the audience watching Foxy wrestle again, and I thought that was really cool. Shout out to the sisters. And something that David McClain kept saying, that there was a lot of sister energy throughout WoW, and I thought that was really cool. And he was saying there aren't any, sibling rivalries going on. And I was just like, yeah, thank God, because fighting with your sister is not fun. As someone who has a sister who's 8 years younger than me, it can get rough sometimes. But, we love each other, and that, really is all that matters. So it's really good when you have sisters that support each other. It's almost like Foxy and Roxy are like Chloe and Hallie of WoW. So it was cool to see that visual. So this match got started, and before, we did hear BK's rap, and she said that she was going to put an end to Foxy's disco. And this is where on commentary they started making references to Studio 54. And I'm just sitting here like, I've heard stories about Studio 54 from back in the day and how all the celebrities were there. Um, and funny enough, David McClain actually asked AJ if she had ever went. She was like, I'm 35. Like, come on now. Like, I've never been to that. Like, it was closed by the time I was coming up. So I know it was definitely closed by the time I was born, because I'm like 29. So, hey, that's not going to work. But either way, Foxy Fierce was dancing and being positive and everything. But BK Rhythm was working her, down with the ground and pound and with her power moves and stuff like that. But something that I did notice was the fact that Foxy Fierce had two incredibly impressive parts to me in this match. First of all, in the first half of the match, she did an arm drag to BK Rhythm, and it was a split into an arm drag, which is something I was just like, yo, that is really cool. Like, I had never seen that before because, of course, she is flexible because she is a yogi. So it was cool to see her utilize that to her advantage in the ring and actually, combine that with an arm drag, which is a very traditional wrestling thing that we see all the time. But she made it, fit her flair, and I thought that was amazing. And then the second thing she did that really impressed me was she's been working on her pins, as you can see. Like in that picture, she tried to work a pin, using her bottom half of her body. She actually jumped through BK Rhythm's legs and actually, tried to pin her down with her legs, even though it was for a 2 count. Like, Miss Foxy is getting way more innovative when it comes to her moves. Like, she's not just, doing the regular stuff that we've seen her do, in the like since WoW has started. Like, she's getting way, way better. And it was just really amazing to see that. I love it when athletes, continue to find ways to learn their craft and get better, and not just stay the same. And it's abundantly clear that Miss Foxy is putting in that work. And because she's been putting in that work, she was able to defeat BK Rhythm. I was so happy because she had been losing a lot. So I was just like, okay, good. You beat BK. Thank you. But BK, it was hard at first because she kept kicking out. She kept popping up. But Foxy didn't let that stop her, and she won the match. And I was like, yes, 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 yes. Recovery, resurgence, renaissance. That's what we're doing. And I was so happy. So Foxy Fierce came out with the win, and I was just so glad for that. So Katrina, how did you feel about this match? And how do you feel about, the rise and the resilience of Foxy Fierce?
I love that she won. Everybody knows we love Foxy Fierce. She's our girl. Definitely a friend to the show. But it was definitely I definitely like that split pin. I can't split. So
Me
anytime I see
neither.
anybody do anytime somebody does that, I'm like, oh yes, because I can't do it. So do it for me. Have a good time and split up for me. Like Trinity does that as well. I'm like, yes, do those splits because I cannot. Mercedes does it as well. I can't split. I can't do all that. And so I was like, yes, Foxy, you getting that in, looking cute doing it. But I also did like that it seemed like she was not aggressive, but not aggressive in like a mean way, just aggressive in a way where it's like, okay, I have a mission. I want to win this match. And it wasn't like she was mean aggressive. I think it was just like she wanted to win. And I like to see that. I was like, maybe this is the fire you need to, maybe you could be back to, the title, considering when she was in the title picture, it was that match at LA Comic Con where she was literally one of the two left. So she was literally, it was the final two, and it just didn't
Mm-hmm.
work out the way so I feel like maybe this is all she needs to even just get her back into the picture where now she can face Penelope Pink again. And she just needed a little bit of something to light that fire under her. I thought it was like, I was really happy. I was like, yes, because, and this is again not a shade to anybody else, but we love Foxy here. And so it's just like, yes, we want to see her win and shine and thrive. And so I was happy. And it was really good to even see that she's being more innovative and using the athleticism that she has and kind of doing different things in the ring. And I think it was aggression, but aggression in a good way. Nothing that I was like, girl, what you doing? It was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to do better. I want to do more. And I loved it. And so I'm happy, and I'm hoping this is like the path start to her getting back to maybe being even in title match again soon. So let's see. Fingers crossed.
I would absolutely love it if she requalified to face Penelope Pink again. Even though here again, like we were talking about earlier, when it came to the tag titles and you think about the Fab Four, and of course later on in our main event and stuff, it's just like Foxy Fierce, has what it takes because it's like she has a great background. She has the athleticism. Clearly, she's been putting in the work. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll see more of her in singles action outside of like the tag division, and she will continue to, get her reps in, and then maybe she would, qualify to face Penelope Pink again. Like that's something I am interested in seeing. Like her versus Penelope would be amazing. The athletic eye candy that we would get from those two would be phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So big ups to Foxy Fierce for winning this match against BK Rhythm. And I guess BK Rhythm just gonna have to, shake this off and try to bounce back another way because she was, undefeated for a minute. And now, she has eaten this defeat. And I'm wondering, what else she'll have to do to bounce back. So yeah. Katrine, did you have something else you wanted to add?
No, I was feeling what you're saying. Like I said, I'm hoping. I do think we'll get a fantastic match. I feel like we got a really good little session between them at LA Comic Con, where it's just the two of them. And we're like, we saw some moments that I feel like if we get that again, it'll be a fantastic match.
Absolutely. So before we get into the second half of this recap of WoW Superheroes, we're going to pay some bills real quick and tell you about some of the other shows that you can catch on Women's Wrestling Talk. So we will be right back.
Hey peeps, TK Trinidad here, boss lady of Women's Wrestling Talk. And I want to say thank you so much for watching because you've got millions of options. Plus, you don't have to worry about sharing your password to check us out. But while you're here, hopefully you know we have so many more shows to watch, like Turnbuckle Glam, Raw Post Show, WoW Post Show, AEW Dynamite Post Show, Women's Wrestling Army Post Show, NXT Post Show, Impact Wrestling Post Show, AEW Rampage and SmackDown Live Post Show, On the Scroll, ROH Post Show, WWT Live, plus all of our interviews with the hottest women's wrestlers in the game. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our website at www.talkpod.com and follow us on all social media platforms at www.talkpod, and make sure to spread the word. That means send this to the group chat. Yes, even the person with the green bubble. Thanks again so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao for now.
And of course, shout out to our CEO and fearless leader, TK Trinidad, for that amazing ad and just for everything that she contributes and everything that she does. A little bit of a production note, the SmackDown and Rampage After Show is now the SmackDown After Show because, of course, AEW is getting it cracking with more TV shows with AEW Collision, which is set to premiere next month. So, Collision and Rampage will be its own show, and then SmackDown After Show will be its own show. So me and our editor Commander-in-Chief Dreon Santana will still give you the realness of SmackDown on Fridays, whereas the AEW dolls will be giving you the AEW shows on their end. So I just wanted to point that out. But either way, we have lots of amazing content. So please check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out. So moving forward with the rest of this show, of this episode of WoW, we had tag team action between, well, before we get to the tag team action, we had a little bit of a backstage segment involving this match that's coming up. We caught up with some of the we caught up with some of the action and the disagreements, I guess you could say, the miscommunication between Jessie Jones and Americana. Now, of course, the last time they were in a match together, or at least Jessie Jones was in a match with BK Rhythm, Americana was telling Jessie Jones to take it easy on BK Rhythm because she's one of Levi's favorites, and Jessie Jones didn't necessarily like that. So Levi actually inserted himself by yelling at Jessie Jones not to, go so rough on her or whatever. And that, posed as a distraction for her, and she was not able to win that match. And of course, BK Rhythm came out the winner. So with Jessie and Americana being backstage, they were really, trying to get on the same page so they can go forth and win this tag team match they had going on. And Americana, was making it seem like she was on the same page with Jessie, saying that, yeah, Levi is in the crowd, but, he's with his babysitter. So hopefully, he won't run and get out of control like he did last week. But she said, oh, I wonder where he's sitting and stuff. And it seemed like she really was still distracted with the idea that he was going to be there. But Jessie was like, look, you need to focus. Okay, don't worry about where Levi is sitting right now. I need you to focus and be on one accord with me in this tag team match. And Americana was like, yeah, I got it. Okay. So they went forward and went into this tag team match we're about to get into right now. So Jessie Jones and Americana went on to face Holidead and Siren the Voodoo Doll. And this was pretty interesting. Oh, we got more stuff in the comments I didn't see. Blackfist is saying, wow, always has a good show. Absolutely. He's saying they cheated Leia. Oh, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that. And he's also saying Holidead ain't no joke. And Blackfist is saying, where is G.I. Jane? Check out Janelle Monáe's new music video and you'll find her there. Just saying. But but yeah, Holidead wasn't no joke in this match right here. This tag team match was pretty good for the most part. Something that I did admire a lot in this tag team match was the fact that Jessie Jones continued to fight without her knee being at 100%. I would say maybe it was about a good 85%. In this match, she fought on and still utilized her submission maneuvers, because one thing she likes to do is to like tear your arm out of socket with submission work, and that's something that she was doing a whole lot throughout this match. But they kept talking about how she was sort of favoring the knee that was injured by the Heavy Metal Sisters a few weeks ago. But alongside with Jessie Jones, you had Americana, who came in hot in the beginning of the match, like hitting a backflip into, I believe, Holidead in the corner of the ring, and hitting all kinds of drop kicks and everything. Like, Americana really did seem focused in the first half of the match. But something else that I found impressive was Holidead's show of submission skills as well, because we do see her hit really hard, and we also see her do lots of power moves too, but she was actually utilizing submission work too, and that's something that we hadn't seen a whole lot of. But I am excited to see that part of Holidead, a whole lot more, or at least for me. I can't speak for anybody else, or I really can't speak for Katrina either, because, she's probably seen her more in the indies than I have, but seeing that, on TV was really cool. But as the match went on, Jessie and Siren, went at it a little bit, and Americana, tried to go for her, when she tagged back into the match. And then there was a point where Jessie kept working on not kept working on Holidead's arms, but then Americana was like, tag me in. And so she finally tagged Americana in, and Americana was like, I got this. And right when she was climbing up the top rope to hit, a splash, she got distracted. by posing and doing a heart symbol to her son Levi. And Siren and Holidead took full advantage of that distraction and slammed her down. And as you saw in that last picture, Holidead lifted her up upside down and slammed her onto the mat. And then Siren attacked Jessie Jones and took her off of the apron and attacked her injured knee. And that was where they won the match. So Siren the Voodoo Doll and Holidead Team Darkness wound up winning this tag team match and taking advantage of the heart of Americana. So, Katrina, how are we feeling about Jessie Jones and Americana? Because even after this match, they were fussing at each other, outside the ring due to Jessie Jones being frustrated with the idea that Americana just continues to get distracted by the fact that her son is out there. So, Kat, how are you feeling about, them as a tag team? It started off so well, but now it's turning into something crazy. I can't hear you.
My bad. Sorry, guys. You know how they say there's sometimes when you get like the mom friend and like the friend without kids, and so you might not understand, but I'm a mom. And even I know, like, ma'am, you telling me you can't give the heart after the match? You can't win the match and be like, hey, Levi, here's hearts and love and hugs and rainbows. Why are we doing this during the match? And I'm like, I feel like your kid's not like a newborn, and I would hope you wouldn't have your newborn there. I would hope, because that does feel like a really safe environment. Baby wanna, the air, the noise, it's a lot. But why are we doing? I feel like in this situation, I don't think it's going to last, because I feel like Americana is literally like, what part what part of it is not clicking? That while his babysitter is there, if the babysitter is there, like you said, at least I have a friend who nannies, and this is, usually when you're doing your job, the mom is supposed to be like, I can do what I need to do, and you can handle the kid. So if you have a babysitter there, why at that moment you feel like, oh, I'm in the middle of a tag match, knowing an opponent like Siren, knowing an opponent like Holidead, who will use what they need to get a win. Why would that's the time to be like, you know what? Hey, I'm just like, sis. Now, and again, I'm a mom. And so I get like, yay, you love your kids, and that's fine and dandy, but you're also on the clock. You're on the job right now. There's nothing happened to your son. So it wasn't like it was an emergency situation where you might have been distracted if maybe they went to him and you're like, oh, what happened? And that would be a valid excuse for a
Yeah.
distraction. But this wasn't that. It was just you felt at that time on the clock, like, let me say hi. Like, sis, you could have done this after the match, win the match, bring it in for a hug, bond, have some ice cream. I don't know, but that was not the time. And so that irritated me, because I'm like, why are you making us moms look crazy? you, you're making us like we don't know how to separate the two. Again, from a person who used to have my kids everywhere. And I mean, like, when I hang out with friends in the beginning, I was like, okay, we're doing brunch with guys, my kids here. Like, and they were cool with it. But the point was, I get it. I truly, truly understand it. But it's like, you're on the clock. So if you have somebody who's there to actually watch your kid, you said you had a babysitter, you paid somebody, or whatever you did to make sure the babysitter is there, let the babysitter do their job. And after you're done, get all the love you need to give. Why at that moment? I'm like, come, stop. It's like now you make like your kid's not even like a new kid. And I say new as in like an infant, where you might be a little bit extra. And even by kid 2 or something, you're not as stressed as you might have been to kid 1. I feel like I still had to learn. Like kid 1, every little thing I was stressed. Kid 2, middle. By the time my last kid, I was like, oh, now I know how to kind of handle this a little better. Like if something happens, you kind of maneuver a lot better in the scenario because you already experienced it. Even though you're still concerned, but you handled that concern better. But this wasn't a situation where she was concerned. It wasn't like they bothered him. He didn't get hurt. Nobody said anything to him. You could have waited for that. That really irritated me, because like, you making us moms look real crazy right now because you can't decide if you want to be focused. This is a match, focus. And when the match is done, go back to being loving, happy mom. And that bothered me, because I'm like, why you got us looking real crazy right now? Like, we don't all do this. Like, oh my God, I can't work because, yay, hey, hello, hugs, kisses. Why? Like, if my kid was watching me and I know I had at this moment, you have to give me a minute. Let me do this. When I am done, you got it, and I feel like I just know he's old enough that you don't need to do all that. It's not like he's like 1 year old, you need to get his attention. Like, stop. And that annoyed me. And so if Jessie is annoyed, again, and this is coming from my mom, I am a mom, and I understand, but this is a little too much. Like, if Jessie's like, you know what, sis, I'm done, I would not fault her for that. I actually wouldn't even fault if he decides to go have a match with her. Like, I don't fault her at all, because it's like, why are we doing shenanigans? You give this whole pep talk beforehand. Oh, I got a babysitter now. He's not going to be a thing, and you're still distracted. And it's weird because when we think about the matches in the beginning, she mentioned she had her son, and it was never this much distraction. So when you feel like you're trying to get closer to goals here, why is it now a distraction? And it wasn't before when you mentioned that she was a mom. Now it's just like, oh, he's there. You don't know how to act. I don't know. But it was irritating me because I'm like, sis, stop. You making us look real crazy. Like we can't balance. Moms balance it all the time. There's plenty of working moms who balance it. Stop. I'm like, he's not you. Stop. So I was a little annoyed. So if she decides, you know what, sis, I'm done. You know what? Gonna have to kudos because I would be done. As a fellow mom, I'm done. Like I'm like, you know what? We're good. Because why are we doing this? Every week now it's like a problem. If he got hurt, that's a very logical thing to be concerned. But he was just there. Like you could be like, oh, we won. Yes! Like, let's bring the hugs in, bring it in. Family members do it all the time. You know, families even do it when after you lost, they want to let you, it's okay. They hug after, not during the match. Girl, I was just like, all right, we playing, because stop now. So I'm like, if Jessie decides that she might need to fight her, you know what? Do you, sis? Because I feel it. I'm tired. As a mom, I am tired. Stop it. You making us look real crazy. Stop.
Yes, and I appreciate that, as always, I, love your mom input because, like you're an experienced mother, like you are a mother to three beautiful children. You understand what it's like to balance, your career and your wrestling life and and your children and stuff like that. And you do it very well, from what I've observed and stuff like that. See, for me, from my perspective, because I've never had children, but I just know as a performer, I got a degree in music, so it's just like in voice, they always sort of teach you, and you learn this early on, but then even, you learn this as a performer that you have to block all the distractions out. Like you really have to, focus on like maybe one point by looking at the wall, and you either sing or perform or play your instrument and do whatever it is that you have to do. And then you'll, connect with your family later. Yes, you're in front of them, on that stage if you have like a recital or something, but you can't focus and get emotional about the fact that they're watching you do this amazing thing. You can't, get distracted by, all the people that's there and let your nerves bubble up and take over. You have to compartmentalize all those feelings, and just block them out and do what you do and tap into that superhuman part of you that is meant to perform. And then worry about the rest of that other stuff later. And it takes years to learn how to compartmentalize that stuff. But once you learn how to do it, there's nothing that you can't do. And as a performer, I really feel like Americana is very gifted as a wrestler, but you cannot continue to show how gifted you are if you're always distracted and worry about what your baby is doing. And he's not a baby by any means. Like this child is, up and walking. Like he looks like he's maybe 6, 7, 8 years old. And it's just like, I understand, you're doing all of this and he's a part of your inspiration, but he can be your inspiration as he's at the house somewhere, or he can be your inspiration, if he is in the crowd and you're not focused on, him all the time. Like he can still be your inspiration in here without him physically being a distraction to you. And I'm getting irritated with it myself too, because I'm just like, ma'am, like, you can't be in a tag team with somebody like Jessie Jones, who, when this show first started, or this season of WoW first started, was willing to defend the tag titles or fight for the tag titles in the tag tournament by herself. She is a very focused woman, and yes, she lets you and Levi in her heart or whatever, but at the end of the day, Jessie Jones is focused on Jessie Jones's career. Okay, she's focused on herself and moving forward. And if you are impeding the progress for her, then she's just going to have to move you out of the way. And and as much as it might hurt, Americana's just going to have to put her big girl britches on here again in life, and focus on what's actually important as a performer. Be a performer for the time you are under those lights, but after those lights go off, then you can be mom. And I mean that respectfully, of course, because like, I've never done it. I'm not a mom. I'm only a sibling and a host and all these other things. I've never been a mother. But I'm just saying, from a performer's perspective, you can't have your brain focus everywhere. Like, you need to focus on one thing. So hopefully Americana and Jessie Jones can figure it all out. But let's go to the comments real quick. Blackfist is saying he thought Americana and Santana Garrett were the same person at first. You're not alone in that, because my boyfriend watches WoW. Shout out to him. And he thought they were the same person too, because they did, they do have kind of similar gear, but nope, they're not the same person. Those are two totally different women, and two totally different iterations of WoW, so they're not the same person. But yeah, either way, Siren, the Voodoo Doll, and Holidead came out with the win. So before we go to our main event, they did advertise next week that we are gonna get that schoolyard brawl between Coach Campanelli and Randy Rara versus G.I. Jane and the Disciplinarian. And I'm really excited about that because I've never seen a schoolhouse brawl. I can't wait to see them utilize all those weapons and all those school supplies in order to fight. Like, I'm really excited about that. And I believe they announced another match, but I can't really remember it right now. Please forgive my brain for blanking out. But yeah, that's what we've got coming up on the next episode of WoW. So I'm really excited about that. And all the other matches that I'm more than sure will be announced on their social media throughout the week. And Blackfist is really excited about seeing G.I. Jane again. I mean, I'm excited too, because I love her too. I love G.I. Jane too, okay? She is fantastic, Here again, another person who I wish wasn't a heel, but it's okay though. It's okay. We still love her. We still love her. So yeah, moving into our main event, we had, well, before we go to the main event, here again, there's a backstage segment that feeds into the main event. We had the fabulous London Star backstage with Vickie Lynn McCoy, and she was basically telling Vickie that she wanted her to eliminate Leia Makoa, because the last time they fought, with her, she basically like dog walked, and I mean this in the best possible way. She dog walked Vickie Lynn McCoy, and she was just like, "Look, if she wants to go for the title again, like she has another thing coming. I want you to eliminate her completely." And Vickie said, "Fine, I'll do it, just to protect, Penelope Pink or whatever." So they had this devious plan or whatever, and it was very dramatic looking, like it was like a super villain thing, and it was crazy. So that backstage segment led into our main event, and JD is in the comments saying, "I know Stephanie got a new camera, but did Kat get one as well?" No? Okay.
No new camera. I'm using my second laptop, so that might be why.
Yes, and JD, this is my cell phone. This is the iPhone 14 Pro camera that I'm using, because whenever I try to use my computer, sometimes the Wi-Fi goes in and out and I don't feel like dealing with it. So this is me using the phone, and I love my camera. It's great. So moving in, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the compliment. Thank you. So this main event did not go the way I expected it to go. My heart was broken. Vickie Lynn McCoy came out there with Lana Star and face off against Leia Makoa, who is one of my faves on this show, period. And Leia Makoa was coming in hot throughout the match, but then on commentary, they did notice that she had some kinesio tape on her shoulder from an injury that she did sustain. And we do send her well wishes. It seems like injuries are just having their moment like now in wrestling. I'm gonna need for them to chill, okay? But yeah, even through the injury, she still kept, giving those hard hits to Vickie Lynn McCoy, just like she did in that 8-woman tag team match between the Island Dynasty and the Fab Four. She kept trying to knock her over and stuff, but something that Vickie Lynn kept doing was hitting her in that injured shoulder, knocking her down or whatnot, and hitting slams to her. And just like Blackfist is saying, like, this match was short. Yeah, it was very uncharacteristically short for someone like Leia Makoa, who we've known to go to distance in a lot of different matches, since this season of WoW has started. Like, this time it wasn't the case. Like, I was really thinking that Leia Makoa was gonna wreck Vickie Lynn like she did last time, but that wasn't the case. Vickie Lynn came in with a plan. She kept working on that injured shoulder of Leia Makoa, and then Lana Star really didn't interfere all of that much throughout the match, and Vickie wound up hitting her with the pink thunder bomb, and that was the end of it. And I'm sad. because I love Leia and I wanted her to rule and record the way she did in the 8-woman tag. But that didn't happen. And Vickie wound up winning, and she got on the microphone and talked about how she um here again repeating the fact that she was just going to run through anybody who wanted to, take a chance at Penelope Pink's Wild World title. And she's just the enforcer, and Lana Star was just saying it was a Lana Star show over and over again. And that was pretty much the way WoW ended this week. So Katrina, how did you feel about this match? Were you as disappointed as I was?
Oh, I was, and again, I think Vickie's an asset to the Fab Four, but like you just want. I feel like every time we got Leia Makoa to kind of do something, something kind of happens, and I feel like it's unfortunate when she has those solo matches. It doesn't lead to maybe her getting to the time like she really wants to, and so it's sad because we know she can. She handled it in that matchup, and while of course it's a little bit different because it's like four people, and so it's not as much energy on a solo person. We know she can handle her. And so I was like, what? Like, why? Why? Like, the fact that she looked her up, like, I try to do that, and that's not going to really work well for me if I try to lift somebody up like that. And so the fact that she can do that effortlessly and just, like, it's unfortunate. And it makes me sad because it's like, oh, man, does that mean she kind of gets to, like, the back of the line? Does she not get a chance in it? Like, I don't know. And it's, you just, again, not I think again, Vickie is definitely an asset. You have somebody who can kind of go through people. You have somebody you have to kind of get through her, and that to me sounds like an asset if you want that kind of to keep your belts in place. But it's like, come on, like what? Like it just and it wasn't a long match, and that also kind of was just like, but why does that even? I didn't even give her like I don't know. Did she even warm up or something? It was unfortunate, and I think like I said, this is not even shade to Vickie. It's just like you want Leia to do well, and you want her to like get the opportunity like to do it properly without like interference or anything. And it's like, well, she got to go through one person. It's like, yeah, no, we're not letting, like, that's not gonna happen. And it's kind of sad, like, that she goes back down the list now. Like, how does this work with her going forward? And so that's unfortunate. But overall, I thought it was a really good show. I thought we had like some good moments, some good little tidbits we needed, like storyline purposes, and we got to see some good women's action. And so, great show.
Yeah, it was a great show, and it just seems like, the reign of the Fab Four just doesn't seem like it's gonna let up anytime soon. And I feel like Lana Star just isn't gonna stop until she continues to wreak havoc all over WoW and turn WoW into just a solely pink show and not a pink and purple show. And it's just like, no. Like back off of it. Like she's gonna turn into a pink and black show, and she's just gonna take over. And I'm gonna need for David McClain to actually just, put his foot down and just let her know that she just can't be running stuff like that. Like chill out. But it just doesn't. It's almost like the Fab Four is WoW's bloodline without them being related. Like it's WoW's bloodline without them being related. They have all the gold, they have their sisterhood, and every time they, get in a match, they always retain their titles with some type of, shenanigans and stuff like that. Like that's essentially what WoW is. They're a dominant female faction that serves almost kind of like your Toxic Attraction or your Undisputed Era and the bloodline at this point, or not at this very point, but what they were before everything started going haywire. So, you love to see women in power, but you want to see them use their power for good. So maybe at some point, they will, learn their lesson and stop trying to act ratchet all the time. But like I said, this is where the episode of WoW ended this weekend. It was really good stuff. It fed into an amazing weekend full of amazing history in terms of women's wrestling with them, and also at New Japan Strong with Resurgence, with, of course, Mercedes Monet and Stephanie Vacour, and Willow Nightingale and Momo Kogo participating in that, tournament for the Strong Women's Championship, which was ultimately won by Willow Nightingale. So shout out to her and congratulations. That's our babe with the power. And of course, giving a speedy recovery to Mercedes Monet, who sustained an injury, but yet looked so fabulous throughout the entire night in her gears. So it was just an amazing weekend full of women's wrestling. So I hope that you enjoyed your time with us here on the WoW Superheroes After Show. Of course, continue to support all of women's wrestling in all of its forms and watch WoW whenever you can, wherever you can. You can watch episodes on Pluto TV. You can watch the matches on their YouTube channel, which is WoW Superheroes. And of course, you can go on their website, wowe.com, and check out the listings if you want to watch it on regular television, you know. So, of course, in Alabama, it comes on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time or 8:30 if it's preempted by any random sport that we've got going on my network's 68. So, basically, that's all I have to say about watching WoW. So, Katrina, tell everybody where they can find you. And thank you so much for joining me, per usual. Tell everybody what you've got going on.
You can find me on most social media on Cat We Trust, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, the E's of 3. I did have a few interviews over on CCW Capital Championship Wrestling with some of the women that was on the roster, and so those are up on the YouTube. I did have my interview recently with the HOG Women's Champion, Ultraviolet, who just had a fantastic match on Friday against Miyu Yamashita, and so that was awesome. I got to do my commentary debut at CCW this past Saturday, and so that whole pay-per-view, which was, well, not pay-per-view, but the whole event was a super fantastic card. Billy Starks is on there. Janai Kai was there. It was Mimi, Notorious Mimi. It was a really fantastic card, and I got to do that. And so if you want to watch it, it is live on Title Match Network. It did stream live, and so that was pretty cool. And so I do have some more reviews coming up this week, and hopefully some more interviews. So that's what's going on my end.
Awesome sauce, and congratulations on your commentary debut. I was so proud to see those pictures of you, you know, popping up with all of the things that you've got going on. And of course, check out In Cat We Trust if you haven't already, please check it out. Now, of course, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. At Queen Steph Hardy. And you can listen to my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe on YouTube as well. Tonight, I will be having an interview with senior writer of Women's Wrestling Talk and fellow host and content creator Nikki Bougie. So please check that out. It will be live, so you can check that out, you know, on all of my socials. Please check it out. As well as other interviews that I have coming up too. You know, there's a lot of them this week, so you're going to see me a whole lot this week with new interviews and stuff. So, and of course, you know, continue to support Women's Wrestling Talk. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at WWTalkPod. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com for all the latest articles, news, merchandise, and all of the above that we've got going on. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, it is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and Katrina has a beautiful article on the WoW superheroes who are of that descent, so please read that. And just check out anything else that we've got going on, you know, celebrating the women's wrestlers who have made history in terms of their community of the Asian American and Pacific Island variety. Please check that out and show love to your brother and sister, you know, that's going through some things, or not even just going through some things. Just be a nice person, because it's a lot of us acting crazy now, and really all it takes for you is to just be a light in the darkness. So with that in mind, this has been Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. And until next time, bye y'all.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.